I'm 3 minutes behind. Give me 1 second. Jaceytv, people meeting people, making memories. Welcome back to the Lunch Table Podcast, Season 3, Episode 5. My name is Jacey David. I call it the Lunch Table Podcast, ATX. There are a number of the Lunch Table podcasts out there I see, but no, the Lunch Table Podcast, ATX. None in Austin, Texas, for sure. But I've been working on this on and off since 2018. And I call it Lunch Table because when I was growing up in school, those were the only times where like I felt I could be free and I could talk freely and candidly amongst my friends and my peers. So I decided to call this podcast the Lunch Table Podcast. This season, I am working on my empathy and I'm working on my communication so much to the point to where I've written an ebook, Become a Lead Star, the 8 guidelines for effective communication. I learned these skills back in 2008 when I was living in Maine and working at this one particular school. There's an actual pseudoscience to effective communication. And I do understand there's a lot of different pseudosciences, but I highly recommend Become a Lead Star by applying these skills. Every interaction, especially the important ones, auditions, auditions, dates, interviews, any type of interaction with you and another individual by applying these skills. I've experienced it does take 2 to tango. By you doing your part, 9 times out of 10, being result based, you will come. Communication will be effective. Become a Lead Star. A few shout outs. Shout out Hollis L. Edwards III. The homie Hollis L. Edwards, he's an actor. I've been knowing him since 2013. Fantastic actor, fantastic writer, but his main thing right now is acting. He's got this, he has a feature called The Dragon Relic that they're still filming. They have a few more shoots and then they have, post. But the team that he's working with, these individuals, they have been in a few major feature studio picks. So I've seen some of the work. You can actually check out the new trailer. They just posted the first one, the Dragon Relic, I believe, on Instagram. Fantastic stuff. I'm excited for it. Shout out Hollis L. Edwards III. Shout out Funny Charlie Mack. Chi-Town, the Don of Comedy. Funny Charlie Mack. Shout out the homie. He's on tour right now with Omar Gooding. Oh my goodness, I forget the name of the tour. We Outside. I don't want to say We Outside tour. I think that's somebody else's. But yeah, Funny Charlie Mack. Type that in Instagram, in TikTok, and he could be coming to a city near you. Hilarious individual. I met him a few years ago when I was managing at Santa Cruz Theater, now Roscoe's Comedy Club. And I met him then, and his hustle game and his marketing game is different. He expects to win. So his hustle is just a little bit different from the rest because he expects to win. And when you do, you actually go further. So shout out Funny Charlie Mack. Domolicious Soul Food. Domolicious Soul Food. Just yesterday, we were at, I forget the name of the market in Georgetown. But every third Sunday, I once called, it's called like Sunny Market. I forget But go on Damolicious Soul Food on Instagram. She just posted the recent pic. I'm sorry, the recent video of some of the patrons yesterday enjoying some of her smothered chicken over mashed potatoes and or turkey meatballs over mashed potatoes. We also had a pasta option and white chocolate brownies and fudge brownies. Fantastic, fantastic. Every third Sundays at goodness, I forget the name of that market, but it's in Georgetown. Follow me, follow her, and you'll find it. She also does, hold on, I wrote it down. Catering, meal prep, and also she's a private chef. I mean, just at the location, she picked up she picked up clients, you know what I'm saying? Just it was based off of what she was serving and what she also serves. She her main thing, her motto is gut health, you know, gut health. So the ingredients that she uses, she can explain it better than I can, but the ingredients that she uses, they are conducive to your gut being healthy, you dig? And not all of the well, you know what? I believe sometimes we think that we are being healthy, but we're not. So I believe what Damo is bringing to the table is a little bit more education on what are the right ingredients, what are the not just the right foods, but what are the right ingredients and what to use in order to actually eat healthy. So yeah, shout out Damolicious Soul Food. Rick the Ruler as well. Shout out Rick the Ruler. He's always been so consistent and so and just so supportive. You dig? He's been to almost all the damn shows. So shout out Rick the Ruler. Sorry we couldn't make it to your housewarming party. I hope you had a fucking blast. I owe you. We owe you. So shout out Rick the Ruler and dope ass lyricist. I don't know if he has any projects coming out, but look up Rick the Ruler on IG, and you see what he's doing. We're just gonna jump into a few talking points. I normally, you know, have like an ensemble cast that I'm bouncing off of people, but right now it's just, you know, me and you, and I'm kind of used to this because if you don't know, I'm a teacher, so I do a lot of this. I do ask a lot of questions because I love feedback from my students, but it is a lot of this. So this is going to be a little bit of switching gears regarding the structure of this show tonight, and then you just, you know, like when it's just, you know what I'm saying, me and you regarding you fucking asking questions, but fuck them, you did. I'm just joking. I love you guys to death. The first quote I want to talk about is something I kind of talk to my students about. It's people don't pay the price because they can't see the prize. I'm gonna say it again. Some people, I ain't gonna say people, some people don't pay the price because they can't see the prize. When I heard that, that struck a nerve, you know, regarding how much work someone is willing to put into. Not even how much work someone is willing to put into, but like if that thought of whatever that thing is would even enter that person's mind, you know, because of can they see the prize? I believe it really boils down to your faith and your belief in whatever it is you are trying to obtain. Because if you see the prize, it doesn't matter what obstacle I feel. It doesn't matter what obstacle, what setback gets in your way. whatever happens, you are still just going to persist. But here's an example. So like one of my kids in class, one of my kids, so we are involved in something called learning, which is where the kids are based. There are 4 subjects where the kids spend 35 to 40 minutes intense lesson. They do their lessons in 30 to 35-minute increments in the morning times, which is ideal, which is supposed to give them time in the afternoon for more life skills. But in order for them to, qualify for recess and cue break, which is, I guess you can call another recess, they must finish certain tasks and certain lessons. So, for instance, in math, they have to finish at least three lessons before they can go outside. And because it's on the computer, a lot of the kids think it's like it's a computer game. So they spam the answers a lot. So instead of reading the questions and reading the explanations and watching the video, because like it's a whole process for them using the software. So like imagine you're a student, right? And you're going over shapes. And before you before you start with the questions in the lesson, you first must watch the video, watch the examples, and if you can't read, it is text to speech. And then from there, then you start with the problems. But the kids, a lot of the kids, they just want to speed through it. All right. So they skip the video, they skip the examples, and they just start going to the questions, not knowing what they're doing, guessing. And then from there it goes. So if you get them wrong, then it goes to the explanation where you got to read the explanation. It can read it out to you. It tells you what you did. It tells you the rule, the whole shebang. But then they also, if you're not watching, they can skip through that and go to the next question. So I said all that to say, we got most of the kids. This is like week 3 on it. We got most of the kids on it now. Like they aren't skipping. They're reading the explanation. We don't have to be over them, but we are over them. But we have most of them on track using the software how it's supposed to be used. But this one child is still spamming. So I take her outside and we have a one-on-one. Again, I'm talking about if you can't see the prize, then you won't pay the price. So I bring her outside and I tell her, I say, yo, listen, if you continue to spam, you may save time right now. So like you may guess, you may get it right. You may go to the next question and you may get your accuracy. You may get your points for this particular lesson, and you may get your goal, but you won't get any understanding. And I still didn't sink in, but I was like, what really sunk in was I was like, at the end of all of your lessons, for you to get to the next grade within the software, you have to score 90% on the mastery. So without the understanding, it's going to take an endless amount of times to get to 90%, because like on the mastery test, it's like 50 to 100 questions. It's one of those I forget, but it's a ton of questions regarding all of the lessons that they went through. And I just told her, listen, when you get to this point, I understand you think you may be saving time, but once you get to this point, you will have to get to 90%. And if you don't have any understanding, you're going to be more frustrated here opposed to at this point. So take this time, get the explanations, get the understanding. So when you get to this point, the test, you won't be struggling, because that's going to be more stressful than this. So the thing is, the kids in general, and I teach every day, you know what I'm saying? I see it every day. They can't see the why. I tell them the why, but they can't see the why, you know? So that's why they're lazy and want to quit. So we want to teach them, you know, good habits. And that's my main thing in class, most definitely. Practice good habits. because sometimes, well, we all have bad habits. So kids just in general, they make you, if they are in your presence, and they are always in my presence, that's my job. They make you be your best self. You know what I'm saying? Even if you slip up, you're like, oh, because the kid's in the room, My thing is, if they are in my presence, they are most definitely going to get I'm most definitely going to put my best foot forward, and I'm going to practice good habits in front of them, because if anything, have good habits, But yeah, so it's just them not able to see the prize, so they don't want to pay the price. So when I'm in class in general, I'm kind of getting off base, but I always reiterate the why, like why they're doing this, why it's important, and it's not per se the subject matter, but it's like the persistence of pushing through, because it's not all it's never just the subject matter, because when I was growing up, it was always, when I asked the why, it was always because you're supposed to, or because everybody's doing it. And to me, that answer was just so not sufficient, because you're supposed to, and because everybody's doing it. That was wow to me, So fast forward, I'm in the reverse position. I'm always given the why, the why, the why to persist, the why not to be lazy, the why not to give up. I give like grown up examples, it's just, but I always try to relate the reason to the why, so they can see the price and the prize in one. In my class, it's not just about the academics, like I said before, but it's really about the emotional intelligence and the EQ. I'm always talking about Lead Star, which is why I wrote that book, Become a Lead Star, where you could get at jaceytv.com. But Become a Lead Star, it's all about communication and emotional intelligence and mental toughness. Mental toughness for real. There's a lot of individuals on these podcasts talking about, women not being accountable. That whole talking point. That's a huge talking point. I think I talked about it a few times. But in general, in my opinion, since the participation trophies, since that became a thing, since the partition, participate. Since that shit started, goddamn it, I can't say the fucking word. Petition. God damn it. Hold on. Participation. Yeah, participation. Damn, I was fucking up. I'm gonna say that shit. Participation. Yes. Since the participation trophy era, since that began, since like that was a thing, then I believe the accountability of like everybody earning what they deserve begin to shed, because things begin to be given to individuals that they really haven't earned. Like I believe everybody on a football team deserves a trophy, but I don't believe everybody on the football team deserves an MVP trophy. I don't believe everybody in a football league deserves a championship trophy. There's some things that only the people who win deserve, and when we mix winning feelings, that's when things went, kind of in one arena. But I digress. Paying the price so you can see the prize. Another talking point I want to talk about is shoot. Let me see. I forget. Let me pull it up. Ooh, I like this one. Reflection turns insight. Hold on, a trip. Yeah. Reflection turns experience to insight. Reflection turns experience to insight. Let that sink in for a second. Reflection turns experience to insight. When I heard that one, and all these right now are Jim Rome quotes. This past summer, I was really on my, listening to my voices of value. So like opposed of just doom scrolling, and I still do, but I'm still trying to fight that. And instead of just in the morning listening to some music, which is entertaining, but it's really not feeding my intellectual soul. And instead of doing other things that I'm not doing anymore, I begin to listen to voices of value. Like one of the first things in the morning I would do was put on a Jim Rome tapes or Les Brown tapes or just any type of motivational um, um, hour-long medley with goodness, you know what I'm saying, all the greats. But so just listening to voices of value, and it was very important to reflect, experience, insight. When I heard Jim Rome say that, I felt that to evaluate what we do is so key, because a certain if you keep hitting a checkpoint, if a certain thing continues to happen to you in life, if you continue to meet that certain type of guy, if you continue to get fired from your job, if a certain thing continues to happen to you, it's because you aren't evaluating what you're doing. Like this one, I'm not gonna go into it, but no, shit. I bought this scooter that I did not know was hot. I got pulled over and I was facing um, what is it called? A UAV, uh, unauthorized vehicle, driving an unauthorized vehicle, which is like a felony. So if I was convicted, I was facing at least 6 months to 2 years. I'm saying all this to say it was happening in December. So like for like 5, 6 years in December, around November, December, January, not every year, but like about 75% of the time, like around that time, I was getting hit with like life, you know, a lot of unexpected things that would set me back, a lot of things that would set me back. And then this just fucking took the cake. I was like, what the fuck? I called my sister up, like, oh no, what's happening? Oh, like all these things are happening. And she was like, no, you have to look at your life. What are the things that you were doing on the daily? What are the things you are doing on the daily that you may not think that are affecting the outcome of your life? You may not think that are related to these outcomes, but are. What are these things that you are doing? You have to self-evaluate. You have to step back. And I began to do that, And some of the things that I was doing, I honestly believe, and I'm working on this as well, but I honestly believe drinking, sex, drugs, by doing those things. I'm not preaching. I'm like, don't you drink sex? Well, listen, I'm fighting these things as well. But by doing these things, you are opening up a gateway for different energies to enter your life. Energies that you may not even be aware of that are entering, Um, and that's the truth. And that's what, if you don't know, you really must understand that. All right. So it's just not a recreational thing. You're just not drinking. You're just not having sex. You're just not doing drugs. You're just not being, it is what it is, immoral. It's just not stealing. It's more to it than that. When you do these things, you open up a vacuum for things to come in. So just, I fight it as well, but just be aware of that. Be aware of the things that we do, because it does affect your life. So again, I was in my heart at the time. I was bitter, uh, and I believe really all kind of boiled down to drinking. If you drink too much, it really affects your brain chemistry. It affects your drive. The things that you want to do, you make an excuse for. And then just like how your mind works as well, it's all negative. I remember like my head, like it was always like it was like that Dave Chappelle, my head, hate, 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 hate. Like everything was hate. You know what I'm saying? Like I was getting in fights in my mind with people that I haven't met before, or I was rehashing things in my mind that I got upset about, which is again not healthy. You dig? So like you could not be doing anything, but at the same time doing a lot. So like what we think about and what we dwell upon, oh man, it affects our life. It becomes your reality. So just what we think about, and that was also one of the effects of the alcohol. It it really changed it changed my thinking. So instead of something positive, it was negative. Instead of me thinking about being calm and taking the right step, it was anger. It was talking shit, not to anybody, but just like mentally. Like these are the things that was kind of that was swirling in my head. And also, it also because when you drink, your inhibitions drop. So the things that even that you say that you won't do, or that you say that, okay, I will stop. When you drink, it just says, man, forget that. It's just one time, and then you do it. So like the book of Anglo, I rebuke you, Becky. Listen, man, it's not just watching porn, friends. It's not just watching porn, friends. Like I say, when you involve yourself, when you engage yourself in an activity, you open up a vacuum for an energy to enter. You can call it a spirit, you can call it an energy, you can call it what have you. But when you engage in an act, positive or negative, you open up a vacuum for an energy to enter, and that's something that's could be hampering, So like I believe involving myself in all of these things behind closed doors that no one sees, I believe these acts hamper my goals. I think one thing affects the other. One discipline affects the other. I truly believe that. So like me not being able to say no to these vices, I believe it affects an opportunity, because with this vacuum open and with this energy that is entering, there's no way that this type of energy can enter, because this energy, this positive energy, it doesn't live in this low frequency, because I'm living in a low frequency. I'm living low frequency, drinking, lustful, negative energy, not love, anger. I believe those things affect our major goals. Jim Rome says one discipline affects the other. All right. So like not everything affects one thing as much as so like for instance, we need oxygen. All right. That's a necessity. All right. We need oxygen. Without that, we can't live. All right. But we don't need a designer clothes. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. All right. What we breathe matters. How we look, that doesn't matter as much. One thing affects the other, but not everything. But I believe we should really treat every discipline. Every time we tell ourselves no, and then I believe Jim Rome says life is disciplining your disciplines. If you could discipline your disciplines, then you have mastered life. And discipline is not saying no to yourself. It's a life of balance. Discipline is not saying no to yourself all the time or saying yes all the time. It's just a life of balance. And if you can master that life of balance, then you can master life. So that's one of the things that I believe affects your major outcomes. And especially if you're operating in a if you're operating in a low frequency, and you know better too. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you know better, sometimes you don't know better, and the outcome will for sure be the same. But for the individuals who know better and you are operating in a low frequency, you can't be mad at that you're not reaching the goals that you are setting out to obtain, because you got all this muck in your way and you're operating in a frequency to where you cannot obtain this. Like for instance, eagles and crows, they don't fly together. All right. So sometimes they do. An eagle can fly low and a crow can knack at them. And the eagle don't fight back. The only thing the eagle does is fly higher. You don't fight him, he just flies higher. Because at a certain altitude, the crow cannot fly. And then the crow just falls off, and then the eagle continues to fly at this altitude. So pretty much, if you operate at a high frequency or you operate at a low frequency, you cannot obtain the things where you have to where high frequency things live, which are your ultimate goals. And you may say, well, how come so many evil people are obtaining their goals? I say this. Psalms 91, 92, 6 and 7. Psalms 92, 6 and 7. All evil doers flourish. And how does it go? Give me 1 second. I got to get this. I do this every morning. And shame on me, ain't got it memorized yet. For those individuals who say, what about the evil individuals who win it? What about them? I say this. The stupid man cannot know, the fool cannot understand, that though the wicked sprout like grass and all evildoers flourish, they are doomed to destruction forever. The stupid man cannot know, the fool cannot understand, that though the wicked sprout like grass and all evildoers flourish, they are doomed to destruction forever. That's what I say to individuals that say, what about all the evildoers? What about the individuals that win it? I say, yo, listen, no one escapes anything. Nobody escapes anything. It may seem like individuals are getting passes, but that's not how this world works. You don't know what's happening in these individuals' lives. And I'm a firm believer. and you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. No one is dodging their karma. People may be pushing their karma back, but everybody, listen, no one gets away with anything. That's what I know. Some people live better than others. Some people can do it better than others. But what I do know is if you're living on this earth, if you are a physical specimen, human on this earth, we all must pay for what we put out there, positive or negative. Positive or negative. No one gets away with anything, in my belief. It may look like it, but man, nobody gets away with anything, you know? It's just like the pebble in the lake. You don't see that last ripple. You don't see, but it's happening, you know? All right, we're gonna move on to what time is it? 39. We're gonna move on to another quote. Ooh, all right, so the 3 levels of association: limited association, disassociation, expanded association. Limited association, expanded association, disassociation. Again, I was in the mornings this summer, a lot of Jim Rome, and he gave like a step-by-step process of how you want to deal with associating yourself with individuals, whether it is professionally or recreationally. If individuals are, again, I'm sorry, excuse me, the 3 were limited association, disassociation, and expanded association. The 3 levels of association. So this is how you deal with people, or this is how I took it. This is how you deal with individuals, whether it's your family, whether it's your friends, whether it's your colleagues, whether it's your enemy. Limited association, disassociation, and expanded association. For me, limited association, you use that, which I had to begin to apply. You use limited association when using people for what they are, using people for their purpose in your life at that time. So they may not be a friend. They may not be a person that you can confide in, someone you get a drink with if you do that, someone you vacation with if you do that. It may not be someone that you are close with, but it may be someone that has a connect that you need for your business. So you use them that way. Use them that way. And there's nothing wrong with using people for their purpose. And that's it. I think what happens is a lot of people, they try to mingle business with pleasure. Everybody's not your friend. Everybody is not your friend. So yes, limited association, using people for their purpose, or also took that as maybe. So me personally, I used to be really bad at just like, if you did something wrong, if you wronged me, or if I didn't like you, I just cut you off. And that's just extremely immature. And that's, and would I want someone just to cut me off if I made a mistake, or if I wronged them? What if I didn't know I was wronging them? What if I was just, I don't know, or what if I was angry, I did it on purpose, but I did it out of anger, and then afterwards, I feel bad about it. I want to go up to them. I'm sorry. They don't forgive me. Like, how would I feel if I was not given that chance? And that really takes some time. Well, it took some time for me. So that part was what was what, especially if it's a family member. Let me go back to that. Limited association. You don't want to cut off a family member and say, I'm not going to ever deal with you. Maybe there is a point to that, but that's going to be in one of the associations. But for the most part, if they're not just ruining your life, you want to keep your family somewhat in your life. But I do understand some of these individuals are not good for you. Some of these individuals are your worst enemy. I totally get that. So, but if it's not that bad, and if it's something that could be mended, but you know that they're not good for you, then limited association. And you have control over that. You control the access to you. You control when you see them. Limited association. You use that, during times where you still want to keep a connection, or I don't want to see them all the time. Limited association. There's nothing wrong with using people for their purpose, and that's it. Limited association. Now I'm going to go to disassociation. This was the second one he talked about. Disassociation, as you hear, is association. Prefix means not. That means to do not associate at all. That's when an individual is completely trying to sabotage. I do understand they say, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Yes, for sure. But when it gets to a point where the energy that this person brings, or the energy that this environment brings, is continuing to lead to a negative outcome, you must disassociate. Just remove yourself. And it's so easier said than done, So many people say, oh my goodness, without the empathy. So many individuals think, oh, if an area is so bad, how come they just don't get up and leave? It's so easier said than done. It's just like, for instance, a tree that has grown roots for 20 years and 30 years. Those roots are deeply embedded. That tree is going to be hard just to pick up and uproot, So associate that with a person living in a place, whether it's positive, a negative place. If a person is deeply rooted in a place 20, 30 years, it's going to be very difficult, no matter how outside look it in. It's like, how come they just don't leave? Their roots are very deep as a tree. But so just your environment. So I said that to say, have some empathy, but disassociate from an environment or people that are directly, or that you realize, you ain't no good for me. That's when you use disassociation. And it's easier said than done, because sometimes you got to go through some fire. You did. Sometimes you got to go through, your friend's been, you actually my enemy. You've actually been clocking me this entire time. And that's wow. That's really happened to me. That's happened to me actually a couple of times, which it hardened your heart. It gave me some more callus around the heart, but it throws you for a loop when you see that the person that you are closest with was actually your enemy, actually didn't like you. That was some wild stuff. It's like, being bit by a snake. You didn't even see it coming. So again, easier said than done. But once you realize that this environment, or that this person, or that this group is no good for you, or this activity is no good for you, then you must disassociate. That's the second one. And the third one you talked about was expanded association. Expanded association, which was pretty much scaling up. And we've all heard this term. You are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with. And that's pretty much what that is. If you want to be successful, hang out with successful people, and have that be the bar. Do what successful people do. Have that be the bar. If you can't hang out with successful people, do what successful people do. Listen to what successful people listen to. Learn what successful people learn. So it's just birds of a feather flock together. Expanded association. So each compartment, everybody that you have in place of in your network is to expand your particular values and your goals. So it doesn't matter where you go in the spectrum in your network. Each person is going to share your value and your goals. That's what I took from expanded association, like scaling up, expanded association. I'm all about my personal growth, and these are things that I think about. You know, I think about them. I think about them. So once I encounter them, I'm sorry, guys. You gotta excuse me. I'm thirsty. These are some points that I think of. No, these are things that I think about because I'm just trying to be my best self. Jim Rohn also said, success is not something that you attract. He said, Jim Rohn said, success is something that you attract by the person that you become. Success is something that you attract by the person that you become. And when I heard that, I mean, I've always wanted to be my best self, but it just really tied in my goals to my personal development. You know, like, how was I actually as a person? You know, how did I think about my common man? Was I angry towards them? Was I empathetic towards them? Was I loving towards them? Was I genuine towards them? Was I authentic towards them? And was I that to myself and my goals? If I say I was not going to watch porn, did I watch porn? Was I honest with myself? If I say I wasn't going to drink on this weekday, did I drink on this weekday? Was I honest with myself? If I say I was going to do those push-ups, I was going to do those abs, and I didn't do it, was I honest with myself? So it's just every discipline affects each one. So in my opinion, like, and I'm still working on it, like, if I say yes to my fitness, but then I say no to the alcohol, in the sense of not saying no to the alcohol and the porn, then it doesn't mix. A positive and a negative just in math, negative. One discipline affects the other, you know? So for me, to be honest with myself, being aware, I have to be good through and through. And by doing so, I'm becoming an individual who, for one, who is disciplined, who can say no to the urges that do not help me, which is smart. But, you know, we all are fighting our desires, but that I'm showing the world and myself that I can listen to him. And that is truly going to show through my results. And so I'm just, you know, I'm talking this now, but I'm truly working on these things that I am speaking about because success is something you attract by the person you become. So I'm trying to just I am becoming a better person. And the way that I feel that you become a better person is, for one, you apply these things, you talk about these things, and you be honest about yourself, you know, and you evaluate, like, what am I doing? What am I doing? What time is it? I think that's all I got for you. No, we got 8 minutes. So in closing, I'm gonna do 50. This is the 5th one. I'm gonna do 48 more of these until my birthday next year. We're gonna start going live November, back in the studio in Austin Public. I was suspended. It was my fault. I got to be more aware of submitting more of my content. I'm not going to talk about it, but I got suspended for like 6 months. So I couldn't use. We no longer had access to the studio. But in November, so in a month of some change, we'll be back in the business, and we will still be going live. So we got that coming up. My book, Become a Lead Star, the 8 guidelines for effective communication. I truly believe, if you apply these skills, your communication with whomever, it will improve. I do understand it takes 2 to tango. You know, you can apply these skills, and a second person can shut down. But by applying Becoming Lead Star skills, it will strip away everything that they can do to sabotage. And then if they fully sabotage, then it's out of your hands. But I truly believe by following these guidelines, it will improve your communication. This book is good for. It's not good for. This book can be used for teachers, in the classroom teachers, and also experiential education teachers. A great resource to teaching or instructing or facilitating communication. It's a great resource for those individuals. If you are a parent and you want to communicate better with your child, and you also want to teach these skills to your child, it's great for parents as well. It's also a great resource for kids from 6th grade all the way up. It's about at a 6th grade reading level, but it's good for a 6th grade all the way up to adults. But it's a fantastic resource, and also it's a fantastic read. Become a Lead Star, where you can get it at Jaceytv.com. Also, my merch. I got some new merch as well. My shirt says PIMP, but if you look closer in the fine print, pain is my passport. You know the old saying, no pain, no gain. But pain is my passport, and your passport means, you go elsewhere, you travel farther, you extend your reach, you scale up, and the only way that you can is by per se going through some pain, going through some growing pains, because you don't know what you don't know. And if you continue to hit a wall, it's because it's something that you're not doing. One of the kids say, when we teach them the steps of how to log in, how to retrieve their files, when we teach them the steps, when they don't do the steps and then they come to us, I tell them, yo, I'm not helping you anymore. We have told you the steps. Go back and do the steps, and then you will enter. They just get lazy. And that's the thing. We get lazy and we don't follow the steps. So pain is my passport. You must push through in order to get to other levels. I have another pain is my passport t-shirt. On the left, it's the little baby bunny. He doesn't know what he's entering into. And then to the right of it, he's come out wounded, but harder and more callous. Pain is my passport. I feel like in this day and age right now, a lot of individuals, they want to skip pain, but we must go through pain in order to learn. If we don't go through pain, then we never learn, and then we become soft, which is, I don't want to be the old man and say this is what this generation is, but I see that is what's accepted. Not everybody, but it wasn't as accepted as it in the past. Like accountability and you not making excuses, that used to be like the stamp, if you earned something, you earned it. You didn't get anything because you felt like you're supposed to get it. That used to be the standard, and that's not anymore. But I'm going on a tangent. Pain is my passport. Go through something to get somewhere, and you can get these at Jaceytv.com. We got the new logo trucker hats. We got the black one, and we got the red one. You can help support the show by going to jaceytv.com and purchasing some of these. It's an easy deal. It's my Shopify. It's all set up just like any online store. Go in, put in your information, easy peasy. What else we got? We got one more. No, I think that's it. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. The tumbler. What I've been drinking. Keeps everything warm, keeps everything cool. Also, fantastic weapon as well. I'm joking. I'm not, but I am. If you were looking at the jewelry, I got this from a lady. She has no online presence. The vendor market I was talking about earlier in the show at the top of the show with Domalicious Soul Food every third Sunday in Georgetown. I met her last month. She sells beads, bracelets, but it's like I've never seen. I mean, I know a lot of vendors sell beads and bracelets, but her things, her items really stick out. Her name is Ava. Ooh. Her brand, her style is dope. Her bracelets. It was a set piece, and the earrings are hers as well. So yeah, I got a dope as a jeweler. I'll share her information. She does great work. She'll come to you. She'll fix your pieces. Now listen, these aren't cheap pieces now. So you got to be willing to. Well, I mean, it ain't gonna bust your head. It's not in the thousands. Okay, it's not in the thousands. There are some pieces in the upper hundreds though, but they're dope pieces. If you're into this type of style, then you'll love it. Not for everybody, but if you're into this type of style, you'll love it. People meeting people, making memories, the Lunch Table Podcast, ATX. I'll be back next week talking shit, trying to stay coherent, but I'll be back next week. Personal growth, trying to be better than I was yesterday. Success is something you attract by the person that you become. I want to improve upon my my empathy, and that's one thing. That's the main thing. One thing at a time. I want to improve upon my empathy. I love my family. I appreciate my mother. I appreciate my two sisters. I appreciate my brother. I'm very blessed for them. And without them, I would not be the person that I am. So I thank God, and I'm very blessed for my parents and for all the mentors as well who have mentored me growing up. But yes, meeting people, making memories. Support the channel, jaceytv.com to see season 1 and season 2, and also where you can get the merch. We out.